What's up everyone, Childhood here, back with another EARTH Machine video. It's been a long time since I've uploaded anything related to EARTH Machine, but with the new support coming out in Blazing Dominion, I'm going to start posting more content for this deck leading up to the release of the set, so you can all be prepared for when the set comes out. So today I'm just going to go through a couple of the main combos. I've been testing with the new cards with different variation, betraying OTK, builder board decks with K9, but I think the variation that I've settled on for the moment is the FTK version. A lot of the meta decks, like Draco Tail and Cool Tune next format, and Vanquish Soul K9 as well, will be able to push into the board that this set can set up with 2 negations and a pop. And then the Barrage Blast Trap or Super Door. They can push into that quite easily, especially because of the amount of bricks you have to play. Oftentimes you won't have much non-engine to back up your board, and it's also decently tricky to get follow-up with this deck now, as opposed to the old version with the lower ceiling that was focused on FTK and winning a ground game. So I've just been focusing on the FTK version of the deck, and I've been working through making the best combos for this version. I've seen a few videos on YouTube about it, and they had 2 main issues that I didn't like. One of them was that they were very bricky. You need to include all the new cards, and then they're playing Machina cards, they're playing Trains, they're playing Infinitrack cards, some of them were playing Ancient Gear cards, and so all of those sub-engines need their own engine requirements, which I felt would just lead to you not being able to play enough of your game to impact your performance over a longer tournament. So I have a 40 card version which has cut down on a majority of the bricks, and then also I've actually just managed to completely remove the Machina cards from the deck. So now it's just Infinitracks, Trains, and then of course Gearbox. So allowed me to slim it down to 40 cards. It does make the deck bit less resilient, but otherwise I just wouldn't be able to play 40 and still have non-engine to back up my pushes. I'm able to play Ash, Called By, Droplets, Talents as going first cards to ensure I'm able to FTK. And then also this deck does push very well going second with just the engine, which has always been one of the strengths of this deck. But without further ado, let's get into the combos. I'll be showing 2 combos today, and the first one is going to be with Harvester or Heavy Forward, which will search Harvester plus any discard. So you're going to start off with normal, using the effect, and you add the dozer. So just, you start very standard here. Then you have to make the link 1, and then you summon out dozer by attributing Goliath, and dozer's effect has to summon a Trencher from the deck here. With this combo, if you have just Harvester and like 4 pieces of non-engine or cards you can't use, you actually don't get access to Tunneler, so you have to use all 3 of the Gustavs in your extra deck, which won't come up very often because of the amount of machines we play, but it's important to have 3. I feel it's important to have 3 anyway, because you'll need 2 for the FTK, and Cool Tune can rip you with Clip on your turn, which is very scary if they rip a Gustav, so also have 2 Clip of Genius. Anyway, we'll make a River Stormer here, and we're going to use the effect to search the new card, the Blue Train. This card is insanely powerful, so we'll use his effect, discard it to add Switch Shard from the deck to the hand, and then we're going to use the effect of Trencher, banishing it to summon Harvester back from our graveyard. Now we're able to link into Genius, and then activate the Switch Shard, and then we'll use the effect of our Blue Train to summon it and our Harvester back under the Genius zones. So we'll go Chain 1 Switch Yard, Chain 2 Genius. So Genius is going to add us a copy of Regulus to insulate our combo better. And then Switch Yard summons our Pegasus from the deck. I do not like having to play this card, but you can still combo if you draw it, which I'll probably go through in a later video. Then we'll go Pegasus to bring back our Dozer. Pegasus level 10. Currently, I'm just going to put a counter. Because of something, I'll put a counter on all the monsters which I've made level 10. Then we'll summon Regulus out, and importantly he has to equip the Goliath to him, which will come up later on. Then we go Harvester's effect, target Regulus to make them both level 10. And now we can go ahead and overlay Harvester and Blue Train into the Flying Launcher. We'll use the effect on summon to add an Earth Machine from our deck to hand. So we add the new Babble Decker to our hand. Then we're able to link these two off, and we summon out the Ballista, and then Ballista's effect gets us the box, which we still have to play as well, but box now has two very good new targets, which is Babble Decker and Convex Knight. Then box effect lets us add Convex Knight to our hand. We use the extra normal with Launcher, and we normal this without tributing, and we use the effect to summon Gearbox from our hand. And then we use the effect of Pegasus to make Gearbox level 10. Now we're able to overlay these two to summon a Gustav. And we use the first Gustav burn. So we're going to use the effect, burn for 2000. Then we use Convex Knight's effect in hand, summon it out, and we make it a level 10. Then we use the ignition effect on field to send an Earth Machine from it to grave. And we get to send another brick, which I'm not so happy at having to include, but the Gizmek Tanguki, whatever it's called, the frog, just lets you revive a Gustav from the graveyard by banishing this from your graveyard because its attack equals its defense. So now we have these two on our field with the Flying Launcher. We can further insert our combo by discarding the Ash Blossom and ranking up our Gustav into Gustav Rocket. This card's a monster negate. Then we have our 2 10s. We go ahead and make a second Gustav with these two. And then this effect, detach level 10, burn for another 2k. These two will go ahead and summon out Knuckle. And then Knuckle's going to use its effect to bring back a level 10 from our graveyard. And then we also have to use the effect of the Gizmek by banishing it from our graveyard to reborn a Gustav to the field. If we had any level 10 extender, we would be able to keep the Regulus on board. But in this case, we have to overlay it with it to make a third Gustav. The Goliath's going to fall off. And then we use the effect of Goliath Engrave to attach it to our Gustav. And then we use this Gustav's effect, burn for 2k, and then this Gustav's effect to burn for the final 2k for game. So yeah, we maintained a negate on the board as soon as we got to Regulus. We were able to get the rocket out, and then yeah, any extender, obviously you just leave the Knuckle in the extra monster zone to free up the room, and you're able to send the Flying Launcher from the field to bring back your extra level 10. And so that way you'll still have the Regulus. Okay, that's the first combo. This combo is kind of weak if you don't have access to any other extension pieces, but the non-engine I put in this deck allows the deck to push through hand traps and non-engine when it's going first was my priority, because I want to win almost every game that I go first with this deck. It's an FTK deck. You want to win if you go first. If you win the die roll, you want to be winning the match. Alright, on to the second combo. It's going to be exceptional schedule and a discard. So this card's very powerful. It allows us to add the Urgent Schedule from back to hand. Special Schedule is just a bad card. I don't play it. I don't see why you would. Just gets us access to Urgent Schedule and then gives us a token to allow us, the opponent a token rather, to allow us to activate the schedule. So we're going to go start off by activating Schedule. Adding this, giving them a token, and then we activate our Urgent Schedule, and here, depends on what we have in hand. I'll go through combos, 2-card combos, to play through more interactions in a later video, but assume we don't have any other pieces we have like 4 non-engine pieces in our hand. The line that pushes through the most is going to be summoning out the copy of Harvester and summoning out the copy of Trencher to our field. Then we're going to go ahead and link 1 and summon a Goliath, and then link this one off and summon out the Clockwork. We need to keep the last Goliath. Then we're going to use Trencher's effect, banishing it to summon Harvester from the graveyard, and Harvester's effect is going to activate, and it's going to add a copy of Dozer to our hand. Next, we'll use the effect of Dozer, attributing this, summoning this, and then we use Dozer's effect on summon to summon a copy of our tunneler to the field. So this combo actually allows us to use tunneler, so it works even if we get extra ripped by Cooltude and they hit one of our Gustavs, we're still able to play. So then the next line is we go overlay into our Riverstormer, and we use Riverstormer's effect detaching, and this gets us access to our blue train. If you already have this in hand, you can search out Regulus straight away, and then initiate the combo more. Then the Genius will allow you to search another extender and you can play through more interactions. But here, assuming we don't have it, we just get our blue train. Blue train allows us to add a copy of Switchyard to our hand, and then now we are able to link these two off and summon the copy of Genius, activate the Switchyard again, and then we use the effect of blue train, summoning itself and Dozer back to the field. We go chaining 1 Switchyard, chaining 2 Genius, allowing us to summon Genius, allows us to add a copy of Regulus, and then Switchyard allows us to special summon from the deck the Pegasus, and then the effect of the Pegasus is going to activate and it's going to reborn the Tunneler to our field. Now we've followed up our zones before going for Regulus, so we have to go for the effect of Pegasus. This is on level 10 because of Switchyard, and we're also just going to make the copy of the Tunneler level 10. And then we're going to overlay these two and summon our launcher out to start off, and we'll use launcher. Apologies. This should be on the field, and it should be Dozer attached. And then it doesn't really matter the zone. We'll use the effect on summon. And it's going to allow us to add our train, our Babble Decker. If you already have Babble Decker or Convex Knight, you add the other one here. But I prefer just starting by adding Babble Decker to the hand. Then we use the effect of our Regulus to summon, and of course attaching the Goliath to the Regulus. Now we use the effect of our Harvester to make these monsters both level 10. And then we're able to link to and go into our Ballista now. Ballista's effect's going to activate. It's going to add us the copy of the Gearbox, and then Gearbox is going to add us our Convex Knight to our hand. Now we are going to go straight into our first Gustav here. This is going to get summoned out because we need to clear up some zones, and then we have to use the effect detaching to burn for 2k. Now in this situation we want to use our extra normal from the fly launch to summon Babble Decker. Babble Decker's effect is going to activate on summon to special summon out Gearbox from our hand, and then we're going to go ahead and link 2 and summon out our Anchor Knuckle to free up space. Now we get to go and special our Convex Knight, and we're going to make it a level 10, and then we're going to use Convex Knight's effect to send the Gizmek. Additionally, if there's no need to hold the cards in hand, if they're not non-engine pieces that'll help us push through, we can also just rank straight up into Gustav Rocket on top of the first Gustav to give more insulation in our combo. Now able to go and overlay these two and summon out a Gustav. We're going to use the effect detaching the level 10. We have to detach level 10 here to get one in graveyard and burn for another 2. Then we are able to use the effect of Knuckle, sending away the Gustav, to bring back our level 10. And now we're able to use the effect of the Gizmek, banishing it from grave, to bring back the Gustav. Then we are able to overlay, summon out this Gustav, assuming we don't need to use Tunneler effect, the Goliath gets attached here, and then we're in the same game state as before, where we're able to detach both materials and burn for 2 more, for 4,000 with the remaining 2 Gustavs. here's the deck list that I've been testing with currently. Clean 40 cards. I've made the extra deck try and be resilient into Cool Tune. I should probably replace Clockwork, put a second Ballista in place of Clockwork Knight, and find room for River Stormer. Also tempted to find room for Zeus, but I could just side that card in for when I know I'm going to be going second, depending on how I feel the side deck space is going to be looking. I've just been mainly focusing on refining the combos, so I know where I'm at, I know what cards and what engines I need to be playing. So yeah, there's 9 true 1-card combos here. I would say the majority of these 2 cards will get you access to a 2-card combo as well. Blue Trade and Earth Machine Monster is also an FTK. And then Convex Knight in any way to put a level 10 on the field is also the FTK. They will usually get there in the end. I guess the only main bricks I would say, because you're always able to discard away something you need engraved to rank up for your rocket. Main bricks I would say are the gearbox, switchyard in a way if you need to discard this to get into the graveyard, because we don't play scrap recycler, and we're not doing Clockwork Knight shenanigans with using scrap recycler's effect 3 or 4 times in a turn. It can be kind of annoying to draw this. And then urgent schedule, because this needs to search a schedule card. If you draw the schedule, you're not able to activate exceptional schedule. That's why I'm choosing to play 2, but also because if you have, say, Harvester and then urgent schedule, you use Harvester, get Dozer, and your opponent activates for Drawless Harmonia, you're actually able to activate the urgent schedule because now they control the Harmonia and you don't control any monsters, and this is actually able to FTK through that, through an Imperm or a Veiler. Because you've already got access to search your Dozer, you can afford to lose 1 more piece of interaction. So that's a very comforting line that you can take. Makes this deck a bit more resilient to Harmonia, and I'm actually very tempted on bumping this card up to 3 copies in the main. Other than that, it's still a work in progress. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. And of course, let me know any suggestions you have with how to upgrade the lines, upgrade the list, anything at all in the comments. Other than that, I'm sure I will see you soon. Bye.